As you're listening to this, hopefully we are smack dab in the middle of Idaho backcountry looking for big old Bruins or maybe doing some turkey hunting locally here in Washington. I'm not sure, but it's spring season and we've been waiting. Let's get into April 2024. Vortex launched their new eyewear, and this is sunglasses with eye protection. Looks pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Pretty fashionable. I saw the prototypes come out last year. They're pretty hip. These are awesome. You guys can enter the code ElkShape to save some loot on your favorite pair of sunglasses. Head over to vortexoptics.com and check them out. There's the Jackal, which is what I'm rocking. They have a couple other ones, but you can shoot with these on. They're ballistic sound, and they're also fashionably hip, and they're Vortex, one of my favorite partners. So check those out. They are live. We're going to do Q&A today. This is from Instagram. You guys reached out with your questions. We want to tackle them. Here we go. First question is from Jake_Dilger, and he wants to know, what are the best elk sausage? And I say the ones that you killed the elk and you made the sausage yourself. If you have a sausage stuffer, I have one from a company called Made with Meat. Typically, the way we break down an elk is we'll do steaks, obviously, some roast, obviously. I don't do jerky. I typically do a lot of ground meat because we do everything under the sun, from tacos, elk burgers, and I even do like this cool like ground meat, rice, and veggie combo that holds really well in the fridge for the weeks for food prep. So I don't do a lot of sausage. I've done elk breakfast sausage, but I took that to a processor and it turned out pretty good. But I'm not a huge summer sausage, elk sausage kind of guy, so I wouldn't be the one to talk to. I have done it myself. There's Bearded Butcher Bros on YouTube is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I watch a lot of their content. They're Midwest guys, but they know what they're doing. I would look them up for sure. What TAC events are you going to? W.J_Smith. I am only going to the Big Sky one this year. Mrs. ElkShape asked me not to attend more than just one because they are in the summer and that's their time. I've conceded on that quite a bit because I want to stay married. I want to be a good dad. And so if it were up to me, I would do a TAC tour. I would go to all the TACs. I love the people. Sean DeGray, the owner, is obviously a friend of mine from a long time ago, and I'm really proud of him and his success that he's created with TAC, and I love the culture of TAC, and life is better with a bow, and it's fun to shoot foam with your friends and new friends. So if you're going to Big Sky, you'll see me there for sure. Make sure you say what's up. I really appreciate all the support, and that's the only one I'm going to that I have scheduled. I was going to go to the Salt Lake one, but we're doing the elk immersion experience the same weekend, and we had already made that before they announced the date, so it is what it is. The_Ty_Brown, best Matthews bow setup, low poundage, including arrow weight and all that. Yeah, so I'm not sure. But I can use my wife, for example. She's shooting the Matthews Prima, and she shoots 55 pounds, and those cams are awesome for a short draw. And I would strongly check that one out because I think it's one of the better bows that they've made for that shorter draw length. As far as arrows go, you obviously have to pick the appropriate spine. I think her spine is 500. Gives you a pretty light GPI, obviously, but man, I don't know. There's a couple other bows that Matthews made that I don't think get enough. He asked for Matthews specifically, so I would check out the Image. That thing's like 335 feet a second IBO. The ATA on it's 29. It's just the cams are a little bit different, and you can customize it. You can do a bow build on their website. That would be a good option for those shorter draw length, lower energy. Put some weight in the front of the arrow. Shoot a really sharp fixed broadhead. Maybe even a cut-on contact. That's what I would do. Like when Alicia hunts deer this year, she's going to be shooting a 500 spine. We're going to put an iron wheel wide on the front, which is going to weigh 125. So she'll have a pretty hefty FOC. She'll be probably only shooting a 260 feet a second arrow, but it'll still pack a punch. Lee.Grounds. Thoughts on the new Boney sight compared to the Dark Owl and UltraView. So I am running a UV slider with a Dark Owl scope on it. I like the UltraView scope that comes with the UltraView slider, but it's a little on the darker side, and I feel like I need a light, which they make one, and it's a damn good one, but I just feel like There's a couple states near me that do not allow that, including my own state that I live in. And so I just don't want, that was ultimately why I took it off. And I hunted without a light on the Ultra View slider last year, and I did just fine. I killed a couple elk with it. But I'm looking for, like, especially for something that I can cross over for like deer hunting, those last 20 minutes of legal shooting light when it seems to get real. I want to be able to see my pins. So the dark owl is bright enough. I haven't got my hands on the Booney. I did talk to MFJJ, owner of Spokane Valley Archery. He did a review on it. He said it's awesome. He said you could put a dark owl or a UV scope on the Booney. I asked him, is it light? And he's like, it's lighter, but it's still not the lightest. And it has all the things that you would ever want. So Spot Hog, shout out to them. They did a really good job. I hope to get my hands on one to check it out personally. Next questions. Sean I'm going to butcher your last name. Salvaggio 10. Best mechanical broadhead for elk. I'm not stoked on shooting elk with a mechanical, just so you know. I feel like you probably, I'm just me personally, you owe it to the animal, you owe it to yourself to shoot it with a fixed broadhead and do the extra tuning to get it shooting bulletproof. I have more confidence in a fixed head than expandable on elk, because their hide is so thick. If you were going to like make me pick one, I would probably, there's a lot of good ones out there, but I would probably strongly consider the Beast. The Bomar Beast one is got the sharpest blades I've ever handled, and I shot a couple deer with them and I was super impressed. Sever is another, just a no-brainer. It's titanium. Probably the 1.5 or the 1.75, probably the 1.5. Both those. And I actually do usually keep a mechanical in my quiver when I'm elk hunting. It's at the very back, and it's for like follow-up shots, like deep, long shots, if applicable. All in all, you won't catch me shooting an elk with a mechanical as my first choice. I've just had bad things happen in the past. And remember, I've been doing this. I've been bow hunting elk since 2001. And I know that there's a lot of great expandables out there, but at the end of the day, there's some sort of device involved with a mechanical broadhead that you have to rely on. And I don't want to rely on it. I want something pretty much 3 or 4 blade or a really sharp cut on contact with bleeders is what I'm looking for. And I'll just get into some of my favorite picks for 2024 that I'm considering. Is I'm really thinking about hunting with an iron wheel wide solid. It's 155 grain broadhead with bleeders. I'm looking at the QAD Exodus 90 degree. I'm looking at the Grim Reaper Micro Hades 4 blade. I have killed elk with that in the past, and it's awesome. And then the Slick Trick Magnum SS stainless steel, all in 125s except for the iron wheel. So those are some good options. We'll make a decision sooner than later. All right. _Gideon _DU _Plessis why do you not hunt South Africa? Well, it's not really on my radar. I don't even know all the animals there. I couldn't tell you if I'd shot in the world record or the smallest species of an animal. I'm not familiar. I'm not intimately knowledgeable of these animals and what's, good, what's mature, what's not. Obviously, I love hunting. I love shooting stuff. The Africa thing, I don't know. I haven't been there yet. I'm not knocking it. I would probably not turn it down someday, but right now I'm so stoked on bear hunting, so stoked on elk hunting that it just doesn't make sense for me to travel across the world. If there's any destination hunt like that I would consider, would be something New Zealand-ish for stag, the roar, something like that. But I love Africa as far as just watching videos and content from there, but it's just not high on my radar. I hope that makes sense. Here we go. Jeremy _Rogers41. What's your dream hunt or a hunt you've never been on before but are looking forward to? Great question. So I think I've advertised this before, but my dream hunt is to hunt coastal brown bear with a bow. The hunt itself is probably 30 G's. And I need to probably find somebody out there who would be willing to do a payment plan with me over several years so I could budget for it. I'd be totally down, but I just haven't made time for that yet. I need to figure that out. That is high on my list, and I'm going to try to make that happen. And just something about bow hunting bears that I love, and something about coastal brown bear just doing their thing. I mean, inland grizz too, but mainly coastal for sure. Like that's at the top of my list. Licks.outdoors, glassing in thick timber. Is it possible or worth it? Yes, it's possible. Vortex is coming out with, and I'm the leaker for Vortex because I don't think they listen to this podcast, but they're coming out with some ultra lightweight like UHDs. I think they're going to be 8x42s. I have those coming to my door next week. Something lightweight like that, that's not over magnified, would work really good. I love glassing thick timber for elk still hunting, where maybe like I'm hunting country where I watch the elk go funnel or filter into a patch of pretty big timber. Well, I'll wait for the wind to get right. I'll get up high and I'll just work the edge of that timber, glassing down, taking literally 1 or 2 steps, glassing, still hunting, and I'll find the elk or a bull bedded, and I'll take my boots off and stalk in and shoot them. I've done that a handful of times, and honestly, I've had surprisingly really high odds on those, unless the wind like flickers or flutters and swirls at all, especially on a little bit of a higher wind day, mid-afternoon, dude, it is on. So I do think the juice is worth the squeeze for sure. This question is from Dawson Frisinger. Did you intentionally eat a caloric surplus to achieve your physique? Looking great, man. So I actually do not have a surplus mindset. I actually have a eat to perform mindset. I try to eat literally with performance in mind and recovery, not aesthetics. So I'm looking at benchmark workouts, boxes I need to check, performances that I'm proud of, and how do I need to eat to obtain that sort of performance, and how do I need to eat to kick off that kind of recovery so I can do it again. We did do a day in the life of eating on the ElkShape Training YouTube channel. That's kind of a newer channel. You guys should check that out. And I don't remember, but I think I was just at around 2,000 calories a day. And I mainly try to focus on protein at every food encounter because that's the trickiest one to get. Carbs to me are easy to get, and I got to watch myself. But getting 30 to 40 grams of protein per food encounter is really important to me. Getting having enough food encounters throughout the day to promote high energy, high octane lifestyle and performance. Dark Horse _archery. Do you believe in bear shaft tuning for optimal broadhead flight? Well, I don't broadhead tune until it's time to go, right? So I'm guilty of just shooting through paper with a fletched arrow and getting a bullet hole and being like, sweet. And that's going to be a good start. But that won't tell you the full story. And anyone who tells you different, they're lying to you. But typically, like I'll tell you what I did last week. I knew that bear season was coming up and I wanted to check broadhead flight like for real. So I shot through paper. Actually had a tear I didn't like. So I made a small 2-click adjustment to my QAD MX2 and shot through paper, got that perfect bullet hole, and then I grabbed a bear shaft, so no fletching on the back, and shot, got a perfect bullet hole. I was like, okay. And to me, that's still you're not done. And then I went out to 30 yards and I shot that Slick Trick Magnum SS at 30 into a target. Then I shot my bear shaft from 30, and I'm looking for both those to hit in the same spot. And then I shot my fill point, and all three were pretty much sharing the same hole. And I knew, I was like, okay, we're pretty dialed. And then the next evening I got no wind, so I went out to 80 and I shot the QAD and the Slick Trick. I think I put this on Instagram or YouTube Shorts. I shot at 80 yards, and I got to put everything in the 10 ring, including the fill point, at 80. And I was like, you know what? This bow is dialed. So I do like bear shaft. I'm not a huge, spend a ton of time knock tuning. That's where you shoot bear shafts and twist the knock until you get the hole you're looking for. Paper is a good tool to identify chinks in the way that you hold or shoot the bow or manipulate. Other than that, no, I don't do a ton of it, but I see value in it. And I would typically... if I had to choose out of everything I just said there, I would probably find more value in shooting a bear shaft at 20 or 30 yards and making sure it's hitting with my fill point or really hitting with my broadhead. and making adjustments from there. I think you do that, you're really going to be close. Pack any supplements in the backcountry or just food and water. This is from Campbell Soup 805. Well, I'm glad you asked. I take every day it's called the Good Stuff from Wilderness Athlete in the backcountry, and it's prepackaged, so it's not like a bottle of pills. It's 2 fish oils, it's 3 multis, and a probiotic. And then I have Energy and Focus trail packs in the afternoon just to kind of fight off that lull. I drink coffee every morning when I'm hunting. Hydrate, recover. Probably anywhere between 2 to 4 packets a day while hunting. We do have a discount code with Wilderness Athlete. It's ElkShape. It takes 20% off. Take advantage of that. Their prices are pretty good already. But that's what I take during hunting season. Best suggestion for 3D targets for a beginner. This is Jake_Dilger. Reinhardt makes the minis. I had a mini elk until my wife RIP'd it and ran over it with the trailer. But I still have a mini moose. They make a mini caribou. I love those mini elks. I think they are bring those to elk camp. They're awesome targets, and you can replace the cores. They're reasonably priced. The Reinhardt elk target that I have in my backyard retails for I think $2,300 or $2,400, and I bought one because I don't know, I saved up for it, and I love having a giant 3D elk target in my backyard. But I think the mini elk is where it's at. All right, we're doing good. Let's move on. All right, Ace Archery 95. Hit inserts versus half-outs. Does one help with arrow protection more from hard impacts? I do think half-outs probably, that's what I'm using right now, and I do think for the most part they're going to do pretty well depending on the material. I have titanium half-outs from Easton, and they're bulletproof. But you cannot go wrong with some sort of hit, which is Easton's technology, where the part that your field or broadhead threads into is inside the diameter of the arrow. You put that in, and then a collar on top. That is phenomenal. So if you're going to do hit, add a collar. Look up Iron Will. They have 10 and 25 grain collars, and the materials are hardened steel or some sort of titanium, worth the money. So do the hit and the collar, or if you're going to do a half out, try to find good materials. On my X10 Parallel Pros, I'm running the Easton's new half out with collar, and it is made out of aluminum. They do have the titanium and steel options. I'm going to risk it for the biscuit and see. So far, they're holding up pretty well. But yeah, nothing's worse than having an arrow break because of the components, but that's the weakest spot generally where the carbon touches the component. Sight in or out from the riser. This is from Hunter_Zybach. So what you're talking about is how close does the sight need to be to your riser? I generally run the sight as close as possible. That will actually give me more distance on my sight tape. I also think you can torque tune if you have some sort of dovetail system or bridge lock system where you can tinker with how close or far out you want your sight, and you can intentionally torque your bow and shoot. I'm going to try to explain this, but we have a good video with Nick Fisher, AE, my dude over there, where we torque tuned, where I shot my best shot at 50, right in the middle. And then at 50 yards, he's like, all right, purposely torque your bow to the left and still aim, shoot. Purposely torque your bow to the right and shoot at 50. And then we just manipulate the distance of the sight or the rest. If you can torque tune your rest, moving them together or away from the riser will help find your individual sweet spot to give you the best point of impact, regardless if you torque or not. And I think in the moment of truth, when you're hunting, a lot of us torque the crap out of our bows and we don't even know it. So I do believe in torque tuning. Shout out to Jesse Broadwater. Look him up. Ty Joe Perez, how to build courage for hunting. I don't know. That's pretty vague, but how to build confidence for hunting is by doing uncomfortable things all the time. Set your alarm for 1 a.m. and go do a 5K ruck. Get up every day, regardless of how you feel, and go break a sweat or hop in a cold plunge. I'm just doing uncomfortable things, staying disciplined, and just basically working those mental muscle reps that allow for you to be tough and to have courage. Desire and hunger. I wish I could bottle up some of my hunger and desire to have elk hunting success, because I think I could pass it out to a few of you guys and you would hit it so much harder than you have been year round. Because that's what it takes to have success. But I just think courage to go out solo is another big deal, and you got to start somewhere. So maybe it's just a solo hunt in the morning, or maybe it's a solo overnight, and you just kind of build upon your foundation of success. And success has to be defined. For some of you, that could be like, man, I just did a 3-day solo elk hunt in the backcountry. That's a successful hunt, regardless if you even pulled your bow back, because you did something that you hadn't done before, and you did something that a lot would probably perceive as pretty crazy or uncomfortable, and you did it. And over time, you're going to get more and more comfortable with that and familiar to where it's a viable option. This one's from Shackle Sunflower. If you have 1 or 2 arrows that are a couple of grains off, how do you balance them out? Man, I don't sweat it. I do have a lot of arrows. I buy batches and batches of arrows. Y'all know that. And I usually group them into, once they're all built and done, like right now I have some X10 Parallel Pros that all weigh 449. But I got a handful that weigh 450 and 451. I'm mainly using the 449s. I'm not good enough at archery to shoot the difference of 2 grains, straight up. And most of us aren't. But if you're getting nitpicky, one thing that I've done in the past is you can use, like we make ElkShape arrow wraps now, and you can manipulate by maybe trimming a little bit of the wrap in the length down, or leaving longer length on to get that 2 grain differential. Hope that helps. This is from McCrae_step. If I'm a beginner to archery, should I start shooting with a handheld or a wrist release? That's a tough one, because I don't know the answer to that. What I would say is probably a wrist release, but I would say study up or get a coach immediately before you teach yourself some poopy habits, and work on how to release that arrow properly. And one of those things you can do is pull your bow back, come to anchor on a giant target bale somewhere safe, and then push the bow away from your ear or jaw, your anchor point. And I want you to shoot your bow with your arms out, watching your trigger, and just slowly pull until it breaks. Do that several times so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like to have a surprise release with any release. But find the release that works best for you. If you're going to hunt, especially buckle strap trigger release probably is going to make the most sense. It's the most common. It's what I use for the most years. Hope that helps. Peyton.Roble, 27-inch draw, 75 to 80 pounds of pull, 430 total arrow weight, 160 grains up front. Will it lose too much at distance? Lose what? Momentum, speed, kinetic energy? No. That's great. That will be awesome setup. I have a 26.5-inch draw at 80 pounds, and I shot a 420 grain arrow, 425 last year. And I got all pass through, so you'll be fine. And I like the weight up front. I bet your FOC is good. That's not a light arrow in my opinion. Again, everything's relative, but in my eyes, that's not even a light arrow, bro. XTUP, what was the defining moment that got you hooked on hunting or backcountry hunting? In 2001, when I shot a bull with a rifle at I think literally 20 yards, and my dad was there, and we walked up on our first bull elk that we'd never seen one up close before. Was pretty blown away at how big they are, because we'd just deer hunted up to that point. That was a defining moment where I was like, this is pretty legit. The next year, my uncle taking me on my very first elk hunt in September with a bow, and hearing my first bugle, and it looked literally 5 miles down in the bottom of a hellhole from where we were at the top of the mountain, and the bull answered, and he literally was like, grab your shit, we're going. And we just dove off this mountain. That was another thing where I was like, this was meant for me. I'm into this. So just a couple of bugles and a real elk dead. That's all she wrote. What are some snacks you can't go to the backcountry without? Good question. Okay, so I do really well on constant carbs in my bloodstream while hunting. I do have fats and proteins, obviously, but shot blocks are very, Cliff makes them phenomenal. I love those. when I go to Costco right before the season, I make my own trail mix, and I go like, the problem with all trail mixes is there's just never enough M&Ms. Well, I do something to mitigate that. I buy like 3 or 4 of those big tubs of peanut M&Ms, and I make my own trail mix, but I make sure that half of my trail mix is just the M&Ms. So it's like every bite you're getting M&Ms no matter what. And then I do like a lot of unsalted cashews, walnuts, seeds, some fruit leathers, things like that. Homemade fruit leathers are really good. I love any type of fruit leather. Gummy bears. Like, again, these are all like on those high octane days where you just need the cows. So, but yeah, I typically, fatty meat sticks. I love fatty meat sticks. We actually have a discount code. It's on my website under discount codes. Look it up. But fatty meat sticks are awesome. It's like salty meat, protein, fat. And they pack away. I love those. So those are some of the things I snack on in the backcountry. J.D.H102, 2024 fall adventures for hunting. Don't know yet. I have an Idaho elk tag that I was able to get. Just an over the counter, essentially. Nothing crazy. Put in for Montana General. And some of the limited entries in Montana, which I've never drawn. That'd be cool. Put in for New Mexico. Waiting for results on that. I got to hunt with Matthews again in 2024. That'll be back at where I was in Utah last year. This is my last time getting to do that, so we're going to make it count. Can't put in for Nevada because I killed, and you have to wait 7 years, so I'm still in the waiting period. Didn't draw AZ. Washington State, got to put in for the draws here. Got to put in for the Idaho special draw for probably going to do deer, elk, antelope this year. We'll see. I'm just talking draws. Wyoming, still waiting for draw results there. So I don't know, man. Wherever the good Lord sends us, can't wait. I'm excited. All right. Baby Bob 3113. Can you come to TAC in Indiana, Kentucky, please? I told you at the beginning of the podcast, I would go to all the TACs. I literally love that shit. But I have to stay married, and a priority to me is conceding going to all these TACs. My wife expressed no interest in having me travel as much as I have in the last 5 years. I've done 25 ElkShape camps in the last 5 years. I've done multiple TACs a year in 3D. I need to be home more because I'm already gone a lot for hunting. So sacrifices are going to be made, and it's my TAC enjoyment. But who knows, man? Maybe someday when my kids are out of the house, I'll be doing a full TAC tour because I literally love the people. I love the events. It just doesn't get old to me. If you guys have never been to a TAC, it is so well done. You got to do it. This one's from David_R Wink or RW Inc. How to help knee pain when going downhill. You need to strengthen your glute medius. You need to make sure your hip flexors are lengthened. You need to be doing some hip halo stuff from crossover symmetry, squatting with hip halo bands, monster walks, lateral walks, forwards and backwards and laterally, working on your hip abduction, making sure your adductors aren't too tight, your hamstrings are loose, so a lot of mobility work. There's so much that you can do to negotiate that. Obviously, use trekking poles. I use the Peaks Backcountry Elite with the cork handles. That's the way to go. Carbon up top, aluminum on the bottom. That is discount code ElkShape 10% off. I would say trekking poles are life for ascents and descents in the gym. The only reason I say all this so fast is because I have had lateral knee pain and it sucks, and I'll get it from time to time. So do your due diligence in the gym. Crossover Symmetry makes a halo band. I think I have a code ElkShape 10% off. Get that. I literally have like 15 hip halo bands, all sorts of sizes, just to work on glutes, and that's part of our warm-up protocol every time we train. All right, Charles Pappas. Oh, I know Charlie Pappas. You have a commissioner tag. Do you hire a guide or DIY? So he's talking about a governor tag. Yeah, man, I don't know. It depends on your capacity, Charlie. If I know you're running a construction company. If you have the capacity to do the scouting proper and not squander this amazing opportunity to have a governor's tag where you basically can kill any elk in any unit of the state that's legal, I don't know. I personally would either that or reach out to some key players and be like, I will pay a finder's fee, like pull a Jimmy John's to your specific budget and see if you can hire some help or pay for some intel. I personally would love the idea of you doing it all since you live in Colorado and I know what state you're talking about is not that far away. I'd love for you to narrow it down to 3 or 4 units and then you bomb out there and just cover as much ground as you can and you do the bull shopping and you find the one that you want to go after and then take advantage of it. Yeah, I don't know. You just got to decide what your expectations, what's your definition of success. It's a different angle, but obviously the DIY route would be way more fulfilling in my opinion. But I also understand a busy self-employed guy, you might need to hire some help. It doesn't mean a guide necessarily. It just needs you need eyeballs on mountains, and that could be really cool. So either way, enjoy the experience, you lucky dog. Best weight vest for running, hill climbing, all around mountain training for the Elkies. That's from Steven Montrose. So I got that 40-pound GoRuck vest. It is awesome. It fits like a glove. I just tried doing rope climbs for the first time the other day with it. Wow, that was hard. That's what I'm going to primarily use for all my rucks is about 40 pounds on a weight vest, not my backpack, not my hunting backpack. I'm not going to be throwing kettlebells and dumbbells in my hunting pack. I just use that. I do have a code with GoRuck now. It's ElkShape 10% off. That's what I would get. Their weight vest and get the two 20-pound plates, one in the front, one in the back. You can also get two 10-pound plates, one in the front, one in the back. That is why I got that vest. That's why I picked that one out and spent my money on that one. And I've tested it against the 511 Tactical. That GoRuck that's my vest, man. So that's what I suggest. Thanks for the question. Amateur hour archery. Do you strictly eat the game you harvest? Are your kids picky about meat? No, I'll eat chicken. I'll eat every once in a while a beefsteak. I had beefsteak last night at my dad's, but at my house, yeah, I have elk every day. The kids hate protein. My kids are vegetarians. Not really, but like literally they do not desire to eat any animal flesh. Like they just want crappy food. And it's a battle, but we make them eat it because we know better. So yeah, you're not alone, man. Kids are picky. Mine are 7 and 9. They're doing better. We have found like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I grind up, I don't know, I had like these 2-pound packages of just ground up elk meat, no fat added. And then I'll use a little bit of almond oil, get it sauteed up on a pan, throw it on top of a bed of rice. I don't put veggies on theirs, but I'll put like some sort of like kind of soy sauce type, like we'll just say Japanese barbecue sauce for lack of a better term. Kids love that. Been making that a lot for them. They love it. It's simple. They're eating protein and carb. I'm happy. They're happy. Getting kids to eat steak, nah, they're kids, man. They just want crappy food. But yeah, we eat a ton of elk. Like we're almost out of elk meat, and I killed 2 bulls last year. That's how we eat a lot. So we'll be having elk for dinner tonight. I'll have elk tacos for lunch today. Elk's usually on the menu. Recommended exercises for tight hip flexors and or folks who need a hip replacement at 42. This is from Solo Max HD. So yeah, man, I've had several buddies get hip replacements in their early 40s, and I thought it was weird, but now it's kind of starting to figure out it's kind of normal if you're really active. But I personally would hire a physical therapist to give you a protocol on which exact muscles are tight that need to be lengthened and how to lengthen them and the cadence. But I'm obviously if your hip flexors are really tight, then, lots of couch stretching. GoWOD is an app I have on my phone. I pay an annual membership and I can punch in what I trained and it gives me a protocol for warm up and post workout mobility. And then a lot of my active rest days are just working on stretching, doing banded distraction, voodoo floss, things like that. Check out like a pigeon stretch on top of a plyo box or even on the floor, a couch stretch, using bands to help stretch and get mobility, percussion gun on those tighter muscles, and then strengthening the weaker muscles, and a physical therapist that's legit. Mountain Physio, reach out to him. He could probably help. He's good. Things like that. All right, from Hunting Out West. Can you make a video of a budget bow build and take it hunting for turkey and bear? Hunting Out West and any and everybody who's into budget this or that. I will drive a 1992 Honda Civic with 400,000 miles with parts replaced that's rusted out, but I'll shoot a freaking brand new Matthews Lift 29 and a half. I'll have a bow that's worth more than my car. I don't do budget archery. I have no problem if you do, but to ask me to do that, I'm not doing it. I will sacrifice other things. I will eat beans and rice. I will drive a piece of crap junk car. I will not buy clothes to look cool in. I will mow my neighbor's lawn at age 42 for $20 on repeat. I will do whatever it takes so that I don't have a budget per se when it comes to picking out a bow to hunt with. I want to hunt with whatever I want, whatever gives me the most confidence. I'm not sacrificing on budget. I will sacrifice on other things. I hope that makes sense. I do not want to rub people the wrong way. If you do get rubbed the wrong way, that's okay. But for me, I'm willing to sacrifice in other areas in my life, whether it be fashion or cool cars or eating out, or hell, I'll mow my neighbor's lawn on repeat so that I can pick out the specific bow that I want. Man, I'm all for budgeting on like any and everything so that you can get tags and that you can put gas in your car to go scout. But I'm not compromising when it comes to archery equipment. Never have. That's why my YouTube channel doesn't do a bunch of budget this, budget that, because I want hunting so important to me. I'm going to the field with whatever works the best for me. So I'm not going to do a budget bow because that's not me. But what I would say is used bows make a lot of sense to me. There are so many people that the next new bow comes out and they're willing to sell a fully set up last year's bow that's phenomenal for so much less than what they paid for full retail. So rather than a budget bow, I would be doing I'd be the master of eBay, or I would be networking to find somebody who's upgrading, and I would be trying, so I would creatively find still a phenomenal bow. I would just be working through several platforms to figure out the best deal I could get. That's all I have to say about that. What is your favorite bow of all time? This is from Connor Gatherum. There's two. The very first bow that I got from Matthews was a Vertex, and I've literally killed so many animals with that in the short 2 years I ran with it. The Lift is my all-time favorite bow right now. I have not seen a bow like this. This is the most accurate bow for hunting. So I also like that Matthews Title. I haven't had a target bow like that where I just went out and I shoot it and it's just so forgiving. It's cheating. But yeah, Matthews Vertex was one of my favorites. And then the Lift. Honestly, the Lift is where it's at. That's good luck topping that one, Matthews, and I'm serious when I say that. Would a rep wall-mounted Athena be a good start for a limited space home gym? Absolutely. So when you're going to do your home gym, floor space is king. You don't want a bunch of stuff on the floor. So anything that can be stored or stowed away to create more room for whatever you're doing, that's the key. So, and I wish I don't have a discount code yet with Rep. I am working them for one, trust me, but I do like Rep Fitness. They're out of Colorado, but just the price is right. And we've bought all our equipment, most of our equipment from them, I should say. The free shipping is what really has saved it for us. And that was from Corey Thom 87. This one's from Cody_C. I want my first bow. Budget with the Bear Alaska XT or Go Lift. Buy once, cry once. Cody, see my previous answer. I would figure out a way to get the best bow in your hands. And if you're on a budget, increase your budget by working more, getting more hours, or side hustling. Or if you have a truck payment, sell your truck, pay it off, and buy a piece of crap car for a while. I mean, it just depends on where you're at with archery. To me, archery is life. So I'm willing to sacrifice whenever, whatever, so that I head to the field with the most confidence. You can kill any animal with this Bear Alaskan XT that you're talking about. It's not the bow, it's the archer, right? So just depends on where you're at, your age. Are you married? Do you have kids? What's your debt scenario looking like? So you just got to make good decisions. But I think the point of all this budget talk is that, guys, Fiscal fitness is a huge love language of mine, meaning at age 42 here, I live in a house that we've paid off. I have zero debt. That's not a flex. I'm saying it took me probably 12, 13 years to get there. And that's with a narrow focus of paying off all my debt. And I even had good friends and financial people that are smarter than me, like, hey, don't pay your house off. It's not a good return on your investment. You could make more money. I don't care. I just don't want to have a house payment. Don't go into debt in your 20s, man, when you start getting some paychecks post-college or whatever. Just live within your means. Always be saving. That's a thing. Always be building up that savings. Never have a balance on your credit card. Pay cash. Cash is king. Side hustles are awesome. Anywhere you can make money passively where you're asleep and you're still making some money. Maybe you're a subject matter expert on some sort of welding or subject matter expert on some sort of marketing thing. Well, write an ebook, put it on your website, sell it passively. Whatever your skill sets are, like money comes and money goes. You can always make money. You can't make time, right? So find things that can help your budget grow, live within your means. And if a lift is just outside your price point, then don't do it. Get whatever you can afford. Everyone's different. We should just talk more about money, guys, because I'm not an expert on it, but I definitely believe in being really disciplined with your budget and your fitness and your lifestyle. I think they all bleed together. So, Cody, let us know what you decide. This one's from PTRPTP Leet. How many times per week should I run as a beginner runner? Don't know, bud. I don't know your body type or your goals or all that kind of stuff, but I'm probably running 1.5 times a week, somewhere in there. My favorite runs are like a recovery day where I'll run just a couple miles at a zone 2 heart rate and then stretch it out, do some contrast. For me, hunting and rucking is more important than getting runs in because I don't run when I elk hunt. I have a backpack on and I'm walking at a brisk pace up and down, going over deadfall, chasing bugles. But just having aerobic capacity and building a good engine, there's lots of ways to do that. So I'm not sure how many times a week you should run, but I would love to see you do conditioning 4 or 5 times a week and that rucking is on your menu at least once a week. This one's from Kyler_Bowers. How many arrows should someone take to the TAC event? Are you shooting all 3 days? Are you shooting multiple courses? I can get away with probably worst year, bring a dozen. Best year, lose half a dozen on the mountain. Last year, I lost 4 in the first course, and that was an all-time PR for terrible shooting. So it just depends on the course you're doing. If you're flying in, I don't know, bring 2 dozen just to be safe, or a dozen just to be safe. And then maybe score it as who loses the least amount of arrows in the weekends in the winter, something like that. T_Riggs92. I'm 0 for 2 with groups in Colorado public land DIY. Should I just go solo or would that be too much? Too much what? Solo hunting's awesome until you kill an elk. And getting it out sucks, but you can figure that out. Hire a packer. I'm all about the solo hunting. Said it on this podcast a lot. You make decisions faster. You don't have to have curfews. You don't have to wait on others. You don't have others waiting on you. And that speedier decision-making can often create more opportunity. You can go further, go deeper, go harder, stay longer, locate more elk in the dark, be there at first light. It's lonely. You have some demons you're going to face. Not everyone's built for it. You should definitely try it. Go for it. Full send. I'm for the solo action. And then have some buddies on speed dial when you get one down. BG Barnes, 2019. Explain what you do with both scapulars in your complete shot process. So as I pull my bow back, the arm holding the bow, the scap needs to go down. I do not want it elevated. I want it depressed. Okay. From there, I want it to stay in a fixed position. And I am slightly pushing the bow towards the target. Now, this other scap, I want it to be down as well. And then I want to be retracting, pulling the arm that's holding the bow back closer to the spine. The scap is moving closer to the spine as I pull and break. So common faults, especially after maybe a long shooting session, is that bow arm, that shoulder will want to go up. Your traps will want to help assist. You're getting tired. So find ways to mitigate muscles being involved and really stack bones. Stack bones, stack bones. Depression is your best friend. And then crossover symmetry protocols 3 times a week to build stronger bulletproof scaps. Dude, guys, we're almost done. This is from Plain.Jane7, how to balance family time with hunting time. You tell me, bro. I'm still trying to figure that out. As I've alluded to on this podcast, I've quit several things. I don't shed hunt anymore for elk. That sucks because now shed hunting is cool. I can make cool content. I know where to find sheds. Can't do it. It's just too much time away from my family. Total Archery Challenge. I want to do everyone in the entire U.S. and make YouTube videos about it. Can't do it. Take too much time from my family. Summer's about the family. Where do they want to go? What do they want to do? What's their version of elk hunting? Fall, I'm going to be gone, withdrawing these deposits that I've made. They understand that they're going to get a better version of me when I come home from elk hunting. It's my why. It's what makes me tick. They can appreciate that. Still not easy, but there's intentionality and balance in the books, so to speak. So quit thinking so much about yourself and start finding out their versions of elk hunting. Invest in them. Daddy-daughter dates, take your boy out, spend that quality time, words of affirmation, figure out what they want to do, what their version of elk hunting is, and repeat that. You'll get the blessing to go elk hunting. When you're done with whatever hunts you're doing, when you come back, make sure you are a better version than you when you left. Don't come back an asshole. Otherwise, that's going to end real quickly. Mullen_archery, bear hunting tactics, terrain features, habitat, and forage that bear use to prefer. This is very vague, in my opinion. Bears want to eat green stuff when they come out of hibernation. They also like the green stuff that grows fresh. That's going to be near snow line. Bears will probably spend several intervals throughout the day feeding and several intervals throughout the day still sleeping or resting. You got to find yourself a master vantage where you can see 3 to 5, 6 miles. Get a giant spotting scope, a giant pair of binoculars, a very comfortable chair, park your ass, and glass. Locate as many bears as you can from that master vantage. Then decide for which one are you going to go for and when are you going to go for it and how are you going to get there. And a lot of times I'll tell you this, I send it more oftentimes than I don't. And that puts me getting back to my truck at 1 o'clock in the morning because 1, it doesn't get dark till 8 or 9 in the spring. If you cross any canyons or creeks, by the time you don't kill that bear, you got to negotiate your way back to your dirt bike, truck, 4-wheeler, whatever. Walk of shames. But for me, in a perfect world, I'm seeing multiple bears from a master vantage every time I go there. And if I do get a stalk, it's a stalk that results in a shot or dang close to getting a shot. As far as terrain features, I mean, bears can be anywhere. Literally, they could be at the bottom of the valley, eating in the swampy type skunk cabbage in the bottoms of the valley. Or they could be up a couple thousand feet, up against the snow line on the side of a cliff, eating a couple of grass sprouts. Bears are where you find them. And there will be a sweet spot where you find more bear density than some, and that's where you're going to want to figure out real quick. Okay, Mullen_archery. With the increased popular of Western hunting, how do you get an elk tag every year? Ooh, well, somebody like me has been putting in for tags for, 17, 18 years in the draws. So a lot of states, I just have enough points to flex and burn. And I also am willing to hunt over the counter. I'm willing to buy tags too at this point. So I'm willing to compete. I have a lot of elk in my home state. That's nice as a resident to be able to hunt your own state, even though I hardly do. It's always an option. Some places tags get turned back in. There's just so many creative ways to get a tag. So what was your question? How do I do it? I just do it. I keep Idaho has tags going on sale at the end of every month. If tags get turned back in, I'm putting for all the draws. And then worst case scenario, I'll just hunt over the counter units. There's plenty of them in Colorado for the time being, Utah, my home state, Washington, Western Oregon. There's still lots of options. So I just think it gets blown out of proportion. Run down to the newest 4mm components and how they stack up against the 5mm. I believe he's referring to Easton, and I'm very impressed with their system. And I do think that they've built some of the best components they've ever built. So shout out to Easton. I'm running the aluminum and the titanium steel. It's a half out, essentially. It goes all the way inside the diameter. There's a silicone O-ring that makes it line up perfect. It's got a built-in collar. The tolerances are amazing. The engineers have thought of it all. I'd like to see them come out with just an all titanium option that's lighter. Maybe they will next year. But the 4mm arrows, that's what I'm running this year. I am sold. And then he asked, am I going to stick with 4 mils or 5 mils for elk? I'm going with 4 mils for elk in 2024. You heard it here first. All right, Stas 307. I know you use the Schwacker on a deer, but would you recommend it on elk? I personally would not recommend mechanicals for elk. Get a fixed broadhead. Take the high road. When I say high road, I mean like take the harder way and tune your bow and leave a 3 or 4 blade hole or a giant iron will wide type cut on contact with bleeders and get the penetration and crush through the bone and that thick hide. There's a lot of guys that have killed elk with Schwackers, and good for them. But I don't think we'll ever hear about the ones that didn't. If we're being honest, you just don't hear about it enough. I'm your no fluff, no bullshit guy. Shoot elk with fixed broadheads, the end. Doing your first tack, should I use my Axis at 450-ish grain or buy a dedicated tack arrow? I mean, I use tack as an opportunity to really get familiar with my hunting setup. So I'm not going to bring my Title 36 to Big Sky. I'm going to be using my lift with my actual hunting arrows. I've done it 1 year where I built some 340 grain arrows for a tack setup, and I shot those for 1 full day. It was fun, but ultimately we should be doing tack to become very familiar with our hunting equipment, including arrows and setups and trajectories. And really, like, it's a stepping stone to build the massive amount of confidence it's going to take for you to have success out west. So if it were up to me, I would have you take your hunting setup and your hunting arrows. If you only had one exercise leading up to elk season to get in shape, what and why? And this is from Outchitta_bowhunter. Oh, probably some sort of lunge to a box step up. Weighted, dumbbells, weight vest, barbell, front rack, back rack, overhead. That lunging and stepping up, you can combine into one movement. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. I would do something like that, and I would mix up the loads, the reps, the rest, the pace, intervals. And why? It's because legs feed the wolf. That would work your midline. That would work your glutes, your hams, your quads, your calves, everything. Big biceps look cool, but they're not going to help you in the mountain. So I'm all about those Bulgarian split squats, lunges, step ups, things like that. They're going to build those muscles for the mountains. And then, okay, last page of questions. Steven Magani, would you be on my podcast? I don't turn down podcasts, bro. I do have a tricky schedule. Reach out to me via email and we can schedule something. Elk Slayer 1.5, did you hate hunting in Diamond Creek, Idaho? I did. Not a huge fan. I have some friends that have had great success there. Loved the country. I thought it was overrated, overhyped, or maybe it was just a bad year, or maybe a lot of the elk got winter killed that last winter. But I saw so many people, and I couldn't get away from people, and I did some crazy things to get away from people, and got into elk, and they were very call shy. Maybe it was just bad timing, but I do love the country. I love Idaho. Obviously, you could probably tell in one of my videos I was there last year. I don't know if I'll ever go back. Jesse.f.0200. Thanks for all that you do. My pleasure. Garrison.smith1. Broadhead you plan on using for bear. I'm going to be using the Slick Trick Magnum SS for bears. It's a 4-blade. I want a big hole. Jasper.Beasley Blacksmith. What made you want to train and shoot so much in the off season? Well, glad you asked. It's probably my favorite question. I hope you all have stuck around to this one. The reason why I train and shoot so much is because I despise the taste of failure, which I knew all too well how to not kill an elk from 2002 till 2006, unpunched tags, and I'm talking like nothing else going on in my life, just work, school, and get ready for elk hunting. And then I finally figured out the formula for me to make sure that I'm ready to kill an elk every year. And it's because that's why I shoot my bow so much. That's why I train year round, is because I have found what will give me success. And for a lot of you, you probably don't have to do that. Maybe you have more talent. better hunting spots, whatever. For me to be at my best and to get an elk every year, I got to shoot year round. I got to put the work in, build the mental toughness and the confidence. Fitness should be an ally. I want to shake hands with it. My archery skills should be an ally, an asset that I take to the mountains. And in order to do that, I got to continue to work on them every day. Thanks for that question. Nate_Illingsworth, will you ever compete in CrossFit again? Hell no. My body would say, no, thank you. My wife would say, you're psycho already as it is. You don't need to get back into that. So enjoyed my time, but I'm a dad now and I enjoy being fit, but competing at CrossFit is like competing at exercising. So no thanks, but I have nothing but respect for those that do. And I think CrossFit still got its place. It's a good way to train. I think that covers the questions, guys. Thank you so much for the questions. I appreciate that. That helps me out. And honestly, it helps me kind of answer some frequently asked questions and kind of get those eliminated. And I like that. Let's give you guys some discount code reads here on my website. I mentioned that. So if you go to the website, go down to the footer links, discount codes. We have Canvas Cutter 10% off, ElkShape. Black Ovis 10% off, ElkShape. Born Primitive Outdoor 10% off, ElkShape. Vortex Wear, including the sunglasses, 20% off, discount code ElkShape. Vortex Optics, go to eurooptic.com, discount code ELK10, 10% off. Onyx Elite Membership, only 20% off, discount code ElkShape. Wilderness Athlete, 20% off, discount code ElkShape. Stealth Cam, we have 2 codes, 20% off. Non-sales like the DS4K, greatest trail cam ever made, ElkShape 20. And then the cellular department for those probably whitetail guys, discount code ElkShape 10 will take 10% off cellulars. MagView, ElkShape, 10% off. Peaks Equipment, we're talking Storm Castle Gators, a Solace sleeping bag, Solitude TP shelter, trekking poles, Duo headlamp, best headlamp on the market, discount code ElkShape 10% off. Sheep Feet, 10% off, ElkShape. Crossover Symmetry, 10% off, discount code ElkShape. My Medic, discount code ElkShape, 15% off. I would strongly recommend everyone put their first aid kit in their pack from My Medic and tell your partner where it's located and then know where theirs is located. They have several good options for the backcountry. For hunting, I'm going to say get the MyFac or the MyFac Mini. Dark Energy, get the free shipping, discount code ElkShape. Get the Poseidon, USB-C, charge up your cell phone in the backcountry. It's a no-brainer. And lastly, for the guy asking about weight vests, GoRuck, discount code ElkShape, 10% off. They have some good training shoes, apparel, obviously rucksacks. I like them for their weight vest. Guys, you got a lot of options when it comes to podcasts. Thanks for choosing us. Separations in the preparation. We'll catch you on the next one.